Hello and welcome to our next webinar in this COVID scenario that is on PCI DSS 4.0. Thank you everyone for being there and in this very very trying times that we are in the COVID scenario. I really hope that your families are doing well, your teams are doing well, and looking at the attendees list, there are so many of our clients already there, and I really wish the best for you and even for those who are not. Rather, it is a general thing that I'm saying for everyone. And so thank you for being there. I will quickly jump into this. This has been one of the requirements for a webinar request that we get every time we do a webinar. We ask for people who are attending to drop in a message of what they would like to be covered in the upcoming webinars. And PCI DSS 4.0 is something that we have been requested to be doing. So that's where we jumped in and got on board for this particular webinar. And so let us quickly get into it. It won't take more like 45 minutes, 40 minutes, something, and we are done. Do, as we continue, do drop in your queries and I'll take it up as much as possible. So the objective of this particular webinar, there are too many things actually we are looking at. A basic understanding of PCI, but only one or two slides. And then why is the upgrade happening? What is the implementation timeline? The implementation timeline is one of the most frequently asked questions as to when the upgradation happen. Is it required to be immediately be upgrading? Well, that's not the case. So what is it all about? We'll get into that. What are the anticipated changes? What you need to do in case you want to somehow try and prepare for the PCI DSS 4.0, then what you need to do. So those things also we are covering. But one thing before I start off is I would like to say is that the standard has not yet been finalized. Okay, it is going through an extensive review process. When I am reviewing the PCI DSS standard as it's made available to the participating organization and other assessors. So it's a privilege to work with the PCI Council to review and give a feedback. And I can safely say that PCI Council is one of the most professional organizations I've ever seen in my career spanning almost 27 years now, 27, 28 years now. And they listen to everything. There is somebody moderating the discussion. They respond to you very, very professionally, very, accurately with the right inputs. They take into consideration all the feedback that is given. There is a discussion that is done. There's a group discussion that happens, and then it is decided whether this particular change needs to be done or not, why it is to be done, what can be the riders that we need to put into it. So all those areas are there. So my point being that whatever we are discussing now with regards to anticipated changes, the key word over here is anticipated. Okay, it doesn't mean that this is how it is positively going to happen. There is a high chance of possibility because it's already being getting documented as a part of the RFC for the standard, but it is not, doesn't mean that this is exactly that is going to happen. So please keep that in mind as we go ahead. So this will avoid any sort of misunderstanding during this webinar, even afterwards. Okay, so there are a lot of free informative resources that you can go online and check on a YouTube channel. That is, you can just do a search. There is YouTube Vista InfoSec, our company name, and you will see it. There is tons of. We have been doing this webinar series for more than 3 years now. So there is tons of webinars on PCI DSS, ISO, PCI DSS, and ISO, SOC 1, SOC 2, GDPR, HIPAA, even entire series on OF's top 10 for web mobile, for web applications, mobile applications. So all those things are there, and it's all for free, and it's a repository over a period of time. So you should go ahead and take a look at it in case you missed the previous webinars. And this is the key that I always work on. That is, it's never the answer that enlightens, but the question. So your questions are the most important for me. So do keep dropping in the question box, and I promise you that I'll attend to it immediately. And in case I'm stressed for time, which is always the case, what will happen is that I will answer you positively by email. So, but don't hesitate in putting your questions in. And rest assured that will not be, in case you mention your organization name or whatever be the case, there's something sensitive, I'll also be showing my email address at the last. You can drop me a mail at the end if you wish. And this is about me. I'm Narendra Sahu. Many of you know me also. I'm the founder and director for Vista InfoSec. It is like we're there in India, we're there in the US, Singapore, we're there in Canada, Middle East, many countries we're there. I'm myself a PCI, QSA, QPA. I've done my CSSA, CSSP, CISA. I've been like more than 25 years now. I've been there in the industry. And Okay, this is just a brief on the company in case you might be interested. So we began in 2004 and we established office in 2005, and then we moved to the US in 2014, and then we are there in Singapore. We became a QSA in 2017. But okay, just to clarify, we have been working on PCI DSS since 2006, when 2007, sorry, when PCI DSS 1.1, 1.2 had been released. So since then, we've been doing consulting. And after a lot of requests from clients, we shifted over to even become a QSA in 2017. So I know I personally have worked on in PCI DSS from version 1.2. So okay, now we are there in Singapore in 2019, and this year we became a QPA, and we have an office in New York, and just recently we incorporated in Los Angeles too. So on the East Coast and on the West Coast. And this is our service line. I'll not take much of a time in talking about my company, but primarily we are there in compliance and governance, and all these various standards, PCI DSS, PADSS, PCI PIN, very strong in regulatory compliance. We have got an entire line of services in risk and security management, wherein we are doing all this vulnerability assessment, red team, web mobile AppSec, virtualization, all those things. And we have a tech advisory team also to help you design your technical infrastructure and even specialized assessments. So for example, as a part of PCI DSS, you would be having, most of you, rather all of you would be having an SIEM, a WAF, and firewall and all those things. Now, it is required under PCI DSS to do your VAPT, right? VA vulnerability assessment pen test. But does it make any sense to do a VA vulnerability assessment or a pen test of your firewall or a WAF or a SIEM or an IPS? You typically are needed to be doing a specialized configuration assessment. So that is where we do it. Is more than a VAPT, where we are actually looking at the configuration of your various infrastructure and giving you a report on that. So you need to even ask yourself as to when was the last time anyone even did an assessment of the SIM rule set or an IPS rule set or a DAM implementation or an MDM. So that's where we are, and we have our own portal for academia compliance, wherein we are designing content for organizations for data security, information security awareness. And these are the certification and or attestation services that we provide across the board, local and or international. We are also there in CCM 3.1 now. So that's what we do. And towards the end of this webinar, there would be a survey asking for your participation. So again, it won't take you more than 2 minutes max. And this will basically be to gather your feedback. It's very, very important. Even if you're not happy, please do document that you're not happy. And we will do whatever needs to be done to rectify and ensure a larger participation. Okay. There is a quick question that has come up immediately before I even started. Please advise whether FIM is mandatory as a part of. Yes, it is mandatory. FIM is mandatory as a part of PCI DSS requirement. If you're already PCI DSS certified, I don't know how you are certified in case you're not doing your FIM. It is required to be for an integrity management of your integrity, integrity check of your core operating systems, program files. It is mandatory to be in place. It is not really an optional thing, and you can't really give a compensating control on these things. So yes, so that was my first question. Thank you for the question. Moving on. So a quick, only 1 or 2 slides on the history of PCI. So they are basically formed as per the by 5 major card brands. Earlier to this, each of this American Express, Master, Discover, Visa, all would be having their own standards. So now let's assume you go to a mall or something, and or to a merchant, and they would be yes, yeah. So they would be each would be having your American Express, yeah, Mastercard. They would be each be having their own standards. So in that case, um, the merchants or the service providers would be required to get compliant to each of the standards, whether it is American Express or Mastercard or Discover or Visa standards to be in place. Now, just imagine the killing process to get adhering to all these requirements, and then satisfying the auditor, satisfying the requirements, the documentation. So they all came together and they found something like a PCI council, and that PCI council is then headed by this founding members. And these founding members, American Express, Mastercard, Discover, and JCB, they are the ones who have driven the development of the standards of PCI DSS and other PCI standards. And these all and then you need not, unless specifically asked for Visa or Discover or Mastercard, you need not be specifically be adhering to this requirement, to their specific requirements. Okay, my friend has responded again that no, in the standard, with regards to FIM that he had asked earlier, no, in the standard is stated as change detection tool. Yes. So I use the same common noun. So change detection tool, many companies, now FIM is not the name of a particular company's product. Whether you call it as a change detection tool or an FIM, when you go in for a change detection tool, that would be an FIM. The earliest one that I know of, like almost 20 years back, uh, um, there's almost 20 years back, would be Tripwire, one of the oldest tools that I remember. And so even that is fine. They started off as a change detection tool or your integrity management tool, whatever you want to call it. So it is mandatory, whether you call it as a change detection or whether you call it as an FIM, it is mandatory. A change detection tool in essence is an FIM, or an FIM is in essence a change detection tool. So this is just a play with words to ensure that, see, as a practice, the PCI Council does not endorse any company or any product. So in that case, how does it work? So that's why they try and use this colloquial terms as much as possible. Okay, and as we saw, this 5 governing members, and that's a history and brief as you've seen 1.0 that was published back in 2005, 1.2, 1.1 in 2006. We started off with BillDesk in 2006. That is with BillDesk. It's one of India's largest, payment processing company. We started off from there, and here we are today. Even now, we are as faithful followers of PCI DSS. So again, it's not the perfect solution, but the good news. So everything gets consolidated under one standard. But the bad news, rather, I still understand why. The bad news is that in case that there is a breach, so if there could be rules, there could be penalties and fines. And so in that case, each standard. So in case there is a breach in your, unfortunately, let's assume there is an organization that gets breached, and they are dealing in Mastercard, Visa, and American Express. So all these 3 companies will implement their own forensic process and ask you to pay for it, and they will all, individually implement fines on you. The country may, the state that you are in may also implement fines on you. So that is not consolidated under PCI Council. That is still driven by the brands. So in PCI Council, there is something also called as a participating organization by industry. So there are financial institutions. If you go to PCISecuritystandards.org, you will see financial institution as a part of participating organizations. There are merchants which are there as a part of the council. There are gateways, processors, service providers, EFT networks, various associations, product vendors, all are there. And these all are providing inputs for the updates to the standard. And this is what I meant by the drivers. So there is an advisory board at the top, industry best practices, community meetings. Like I am always there most of the time for the community meetings, and it is so beautifully done. I really love the council for that. And they ask for inputs from you, what feedback, what trouble you are been facing, all those things they ask. And feedback from the assessor community, like while doing an audit, did I notice any issues that needs to be taken care of? So I can write to them and they actually acknowledge and get back to you. So there are ASVs, there are QSAs who give feedbacks. There could be forensic results based on some breach that they take into consideration when they're writing a new standard. And there are security scans, on-site audit, SEQ feedbacks. All these things pool into the development of the new standard. And again, it applies to all. There are 3 levels. Typically speaking, companies only feel that if you are storing, processing, or transmitting cardholder data, then only PCI DSS is applicable to you, which is absolutely false. It is right to a major level, but it's not fully 100% correct. Even organizations that are providing security functionalities that might impact the security of cardholder data are required to be coming under it. So it could be a managed service provider who are providing remote patching services, remote support services. No card data goes to them. Nothing. We are doing it for so many companies now. So no card data comes to them, but they are remotely logging on, doing troubleshooting, doing implementation of the standard. Doing implementation of patches, upgrading the operating system, upgrading processing softwares. So all of those systems, all of those organizations are also required to be coming under PCI DSS. And then any other system component devices that are located within the cardholder data environment, even if they are not storing or processing or transmitting cardholder data, PCI DSS applies to them. And the security standard requirement are there. These are all the 6 requirements, and the 12 control areas, the 12 which is required under 12 requirements under PCI DSS, and the 6 domains under PCI DSS. So I'll quickly jump, and this is where how the evolution is started. So December 14, 2004. Oh wow! Incidentally speaking, my company was also formed in 2004, and that too in December. But that was in December 1, and PCI Council, the PCI DSS result, that's like a happy coincidence. I had nothing to do with it. But the 1.0 was also released in December 2004. Anyway, going ahead, so you can see the transition of how the standards are released to 2006, 2010, 13, 15, 16, 18. 19, so many versions coming up. And I would really I was having a discussion with a friend of mine. It's a very professional discussion, and we are discussing the evolution of various standards, like even an ISO standard. And you will see over there that the upgrades happen after so many years, and that too might not be even totally relevant. And here we see the council releasing such frequent updates, supplemental advice 3.1, 3.2, 3.2.1. So many latest updates are coming up in the standard. So look at this: 2013 3.0, 2015 3.1, 2016 3.2, 2018 3.2.1, and now 2019 they released a draft for PCI DSS 4.0. So that is there. Going ahead, yes, there is another question that has popped. Is the first draft of 4.0 version available on the PCI? Actually, I'm not sure. You'll need to check on over there. As a QSA, we have access to it directly in our portals, but I can check in. But I don't remember seeing it on the website. In case somebody has checked, then please do drop in a line. But as a QSA myself and others in my company, we directly have access to the logged in part of PCI DSS, where we get access to the RFC part also. But I doubt they released the draft version in 2019. I think that probably might be there. But the latest updates that is happening in PCI DSS, that is not posted live. But the October one, I think it is there on the PCI security standards.org. You need to check that out. Thank you. And this is how it is. So standards published in October, how it happened, effective January 1, market implementation all year. Feedback begins in November. Old standards retired by the end of year 2. And then again feedback review, draft revisions, year 3. So there are like 8 steps for the life cycle changes. It takes like 36 months after implementation or a release of a particular standard. Do they ask for you to after only after 3 years after release of a standard does it become mandatory, and rest all is rolled out. Otherwise, it is all important for everybody, if I might say it that way. It is there, but not really mandatory. Life cycle changes, as I said earlier, and what we saw earlier, changes to the PCS security standards follows a defined 36-month life cycle with 8 stages, and these are the eight stages that we had seen. And the life cycle is from gradual phase introduction of new versions, and there will be a time where even both the standards would be coexisting and would be valid. And so there is nothing like standard is released and then immediately you're expected to fall compliant with it. Things don't work that way. The PCI Council is very well aware of how things work and what troubles you might be going through in case something goes wrong, right? uh, Now, purpose of the update to PCI DSS 4.0, major reasons is that the confirmation that the standard continues to meet the security needs of the payment standards, and one of the key requirements was also to ensure that there is enough flexibility. And now at this time, PCI DSS is seen as too rigid, and in some ways, I even agree whether it is good actually, but there needs to be some sort of a flexibility which is getting built. And to be honest with you, when I first saw the draft, I was really a bit surprised. It took me some time to understand what is going on. Um, So promote security as a continuous process and not just like as an end of the year. Enhance validation methods and procedures, even change some nomenclature with regards to what is compensating controls. And a few of the anticipated changes. As you can see, the latest upgraded standards will be released anywhere between mid 2021. That's what is expected like next year. And it will be more on an outcome based approach. The bottom line over here is outcome based approach and not like you have to do this way, this. So there the objectives are defined, and you then have the flexibility of designing whatever means or controls that you want to be attaining that objective. And industry feedback is shaping the latest release. As I said earlier, it is everything is based on feedback, everything. And I'm so pleased to see that the council always takes such feedback very seriously. It's not like just for a very a privileged few where some guys have been working since donkey years are just providing the feedback. Everyone is included as a part of this, so it really helps. And going ahead, if you look at it from previous revisions where it was maybe in 3.2, 2.1, some particular changes were suggested, but then nobody, I want to say, it was not taken into consideration at that time. But now in this 4.0, even those those suggestions are taken into consideration. Now over here, because of that, there will be not just one but two cycles of PCI DSS RFC cycle that is going on. Two cycles of RFC is gone. One cycle is already done. The second should be held shortly. And the QSAs, the feedbacks, everything is taken into consideration from all the people. And this is what the implementation timeline looks like. So the first draft was released in 2019. Towards the end Q3, Q4, we are expecting the second RFC of PCI DSS 4.0 to be released. Again, it will be for internal circulation only. And then we are expecting by the first quarter of 2021, the actual first or second quarter to be 2021, the PCI DSS 4.0 to be released. And by the end of Q4, supporting documents, training, program updates, all to be released by the end of 2024. 22 should be the transition period from 3.2.1 to 4.0. By the 2023, 3.2.1 would be officially retired, and by Q2 or Q4 or Q1 or Q2 of 2024, PCI DSS 4.0 would be fully effective. So this is the dates as on today. Okay, so this is nothing like this is how it is going to be. There could be the changes that PCI Council might think of, but this is what it is. How it is going to leave, how it's going to move. So upgrading from 3.2.1 to 4.0, a series of objectives which are very specific and include stringent requirements and outline the process of achieving compliance goals. So the outcome would be given. Now, the outcome was not given. So now it's a very tedious and a time-consuming process. But PCI DSS 4.0, on the other hand, intends to replace the existing compensating control with an alternate approach called as a customized implementation approach. Now, under a customized implementation approach, they can define their own controls to meet the compliance requirements. And according to that, they can submit their own detailed documentation outlining the approach of how to achieve the compliance and demonstrates its effectiveness. So then the ball becomes in the court of the auditor that is there. So the audit timeline, I'm believing like the bottom line would be in the hands of the auditor, I believe, not really in the hands of anybody else. And the onus on the auditor will also go to be very high. So I've got a friend who's commented that can we start considering 4.0 from next year? Yes, I would really request you to hold on until the third quarter of next year. That is the same time, maybe next year, and by then we'll have a very clear idea, because when the standard is released, the beauty of the PCI Council is that they issue tons of FAQs, control wise FAQs, and that too for free. You can go to the standard, anybody can log in and just go, and without even logging in, check their so many FAQs are there, training material is there, supplemental advice is there, everything. So these are expected to be released by the third or fourth quarter of 2021. So I would suggest you to start considering 4.0 or by maybe second or third quarter 2021, and then move to it by 2022. So again, okay. Okay, another question that has come is that would vendors be asking for version 4.0 from next year? See, again, PCI Council has not made it a mandate for as soon as it is released to get it done. But your vendors or your acquirers might, I'm not saying that they will, I'm saying that they might, or if you're in a very sensitive service provider, they might still say that, okay, you need to have the standard in place because there are some sections of PCI DSS 4.0 which is not there in 3.2.1, but it's there in 4.0, so you please implement that. No, can also expect the introduction of new control requirements with regards to encryption, multi-factor authentication, and we'll get into more details now. There is a flexibility. The number one change is the flexibility in the implementing procedures. So it's not necessary to have it in a particular way as is hard-coded into PCI DSS 3.2.1. And implementing stringent security requirements would be required because they would be giving the objective, and how you attain the objective is now up to you. Implementing multi-factor authentication is now just a part of a particular segment that is for remote access. Now it become more pervasive. Then there's data encryption, monitoring requirements, and increasing frequency of testing controls. I'll get into this more in detail now. Now, the first point, as we saw over here, flexibility in implementing procedures. Customized implementation is as a replacement to compensating controls. That's the number one major change. So if whatever is given is something that you are not agreeing with, or it is not possible in your environment, you can have your customized implementation done. But in case you're doing that, just as an advice, identify who's your QSA in advance and run your customized implementation strategy through that person, through that QSA. The reason I'm saying is when there is something called as a customized implementation, see, the interpretation of technology and the risk thereof changes on something of a subjective basis. So in case you might think it possible or right, or your CISO might think it possible and right, but the QSA might not simply agree with it. So that might cause issues. So you might need to look at it. So again, then the organization needs to provide a more detailed document justifying the implementation of custom implementation. Then the effectiveness, and the QSA has to verify the effectiveness with regards to the spirit of the customized implementation requirement to verify whether the company is compliant. Then implementing more stringent requirements is also required under 4.0. Many new requirements are being introduced. For example, cloud computing, virtualization. Virtualization was just required as one point, I think, under requirement 2.0 is something where it is said that in a virtualized environment, more than one role cannot be played by a virtual machine. I didn't see much of a description or a more comprehensive, fine-tuned control requirement for just a virtualized or the cloud environment. Now, for the cloud environment, let me be more specific and say that in case you're looking at PCI DSS for the cloud environment, there is an entire guidance document released by the council, and even we are contributors to that, and you can see our company name Vista Infosec as in the credit section of that document. So that is there, but it's not really a mandate for you to implement it that way. So now whatever control requirements of cloud would be included under 4.0 would be more of a mandate. Implementing multi-factor authentication. Now over here, now look at it, many at all places we have used anticipated. The word keyword is anticipated, and the keyword is may focus. So again, don't look at it as a hard and fast. I'm again repeating, because I don't want you to be quoting me and then getting on a capex opex cycle, and then maybe it doesn't materialize. Because see, please understand, this is not in my hands. There's a PCI council, there's a whole team sitting, and I'm just sharing with you what is visible now, which might change over the next 6 months, right? So 3DS core security standard, 3DS CSS is there online also. You can go through it. The CSS standard, you can go through it. It uses something of a tokenization method for the encryption. So it helps organization build pluggable authentication options, and to help meet the regulatory requirements and ensure scalability to the company's evolving transaction objectives. Then the encrypting, implementing data encryption comes into place. Now again, over here, the prevailing cybersecurity threats, uh, whatever was there earlier with regards to the encryption is now seen as getting outdated, if not totally outdated. So that's where and it might not even work in case the malicious code has already penetrated your network, your trusted network. So there are additional controls now being introduced in 4.0, and that's where, coming back to my friend's question that has been asked with regards to how soon do you think vendors may start asking you for 4.0, is that my anticipation is, I doubt any organization will, if you're in a very sensitive business, I doubt many organizations will, or you're acquiring, or your brand might give you the luxury of 2024 to upgrade to 4.0. They might even ask you to start moving a bit faster. Again, I'm just putting that out just as a thought. And monitoring requirements to consider: technology advancement. It's more on a risk-based approach, more like an ISO, where it is more on a risk-based approach. So it is beautifully written. I wish I could share something more, but it is very well. The entire way the standard has been written has been changed. Now, if I look at version 1.0, 1.1 up till 3.2.1, the flow or the look and feel of the document is by and large the same. And you can check it for yourself. Just download 1.1, 1.0, and now see 3.2.1. I'm not saying no changes has been done. Tons of changes has been done, but the basic flow remains the same. But in 4.0, it's like a major update has happened, even the way the standard has been written. Okay, to make it more flexible, to make it more innovative, to give more time for growth. And if new technologies are coming up, say it could be this the Bitcoin technology, which could be evolving into that. So if somebody is using that, blockchain technologies, now all those things are not really addressed in even some level, if I might say, in PCI DSS 4.0. But with a risk-based approach, or with a customized implementation approach, organizations have the flexibility to design their controls to satisfy the requirements. So again, then there is SSF has already been released, PADSS as a successor to PADSS, and within that they have SSLC, Secure Software Lifecycle Component, to have a more certified, secure SDLC process. So this will become again more stringent and more required, if I might say this in double quotes. Now the increase in the frequency of testing ready and controls. Earlier it was, see, there is a latest version, may also include the DSV requirements. Now in your PCI DSS 3.2.1, there is something called as a DSV. There is a separate annexure for that. DSV is designated entities supplemental validation. Typically companies which have been breached and stuff like that, they are asked to do this DSV. Now that is only for those companies, so very rare. Now in 4.0, it is very well possible that this DSU requirement may become a part of mainstream PCI DSS. Now preparing I hope I didn't give a very scary situation over here, but going ahead, it is very well possible. Now, not very well possible. This is all the more possible that this is taken very, very positively, because there was a requirement, there was the need for a major overhaul of the PCI DSS standard, and I'm so thankful that the council has taken all those things to consideration and they are doing it. And more importantly, the last point that you've written should ensure that the scope is accurate, as it forms the foundation for achieving maintaining PCI compliance. Like, just as a thought, if I might say, that so many companies have junked their PCI QSAs, and they have moved ahead with us, and so many a time, majority of the time, if I might say this, there is always an issue with the scoping. So typically speaking, we have seen QSA companies taking the scope as to whatever the client gives, these servers, these processors, these people. But as a QSA, it is incumbent on me to ensure that the scoping has been accurately done. So as you might be aware, as I'm sure other, if you are aware, in case you have any idea of PCI DSS, scoping is not really your choice. It's not an ISO standard that you can decide what you want to get certified or not. You can't say I don't want to do this. You can't say I'll do this later on. The company is getting certified on PCI DSS, so whatever is in operations at that time better be certified. And many a time we have seen that companies are just handing out those processes that they think are more important and don't want to get the rest of the processes certified. And I would really suggest you that in case you are one of those companies, to really relook at how your QSA is working, because tomorrow you and the QSA both will be in trouble. Now, okay. Okay, that's a nice question. She's asking, since PCI audit takes place after a fixed time in any organization, my question is how PCI SSC is going to verify that implemented customized policies are up to the mark. That's a very good question. See, in all these things, that's a very good question actually, Priya. Now, what happens in all these things is that when for example, we are doing an audit, we will not be looking at your um, evidences only as on date. I'll be looking at it for the minimum past 6 to 8 months. If I am not convinced, even 1 year. So when we are looking at those customized policies, because in PCI DSS 4.0 customization, even of the solutions of the controls are allowed, the auditor is required to look at the last 6-8 months at least of evidence, and not just last week's. So that should take care of ensuring that the implement customized policies are up to the mark. I'll even be checking their what they have written. All the 6 questions are adequately answered, and I'm sure that you would know what are the six points when you're writing or writing any policies, procedures, or designing any controls, or if you're doing an audit. The 6 questions are who, what, when, where, why, and how. I repeat, 6 questions that is required for checking for during an audit, and even when you're designing your controls or writing your policies, especially when you're doing a documentation: who, what, when, where, why, and how. 6 questions you are required to answer. So if that is adequately answered, effectively answered, so then your controls can be taken as up to the mark. So preparing again over a period of time, like I just had a call with a client yesterday, and they were saying that the scoping was already, they want to change their QSA. And when we gave the process, one of the key thing in our processes for PCI DSS, even audit or even consulting or whatever, even if you're doing an audit with me, would be to scope definition. And what was told to me was, oh, we have been getting audited so many years, the scope is finalized. I told him very clearly, see, whether even if I am doing an audit for the past 6 years or 5 years, 3 years, whatever, I would still every time do the scope definition, because whatever has happened in your, are you saying that nothing has happened in your organization in the last 1 year? Nothing. And it's, you have maintained the status quo from the last time to last year to this year. That's not the case. Things might have changed. Business might have changed. External risk perception might have changed. Your vendors' way of working might have changed. Internal people might have changed. All those possibilities are there. So I need to check. So scoping becomes the most important part uh, in preparing for the anticipated changes. So the key takeaways as a matter of relief for the people: the 12 fundamental requirements and list of controls of PCI DSS 3.2.1 will still be a part of PCI DSS 4.0. So your nothing is like wasted. So you don't have to rewrite and redo everything and pay tons of money to the consultants. No, you need not. Whatever you have already done will also be effective. It's nothing that they are junking away everything. Okay, now redo the whole thing. No. Now, and again, companies currently using compensating control, then it is probably if you're already having compensating controls in place, then you probably need to relook at the approach when PCI DSS 4.0 comes, because over there it is much more different and stringent. So if you're cutting any corner somewhere, this might be the right time to fix it. So based on estimate, it's very well possible that midway through 2021, not yet official, the standards would be released, and you might, some may I ask you to start implementing immediately. Now, there is enough lead time for you because it is expired. It might be made to expire in 2024. You still have time for that in case you're waiting for the last day. And last but not the least, hire a professional QSA to make sure that you're on the right track. Many a time we have seen that QSAs do not have the technical expertise, do not understand also how network works, interacts, or the latest technologies in place. So do ensure that you are going with the right QSA, the proper QSA partner, and not just cutting corners here and there, especially for saving a few bucks somewhere here and there. And if you're asking for who could be the right one, you can always drop me a line. So okay, so thank you so much for sharing your time. I hope this helped you. And as we end, please do respond to the survey at the end of this webinar. There are these past webinars which has been there online. PCI DSS, SOC 1, SOC 2, GDPR, blockchain, HIPAA, so many are there. These are all our past webinars. Do drop in a line, do go through it. You can subscribe to it. It's all free. And okay, and just like 4 months back, 5 months back, we had a surprise dignitary on our show, and Nitin Bhatnagar, who's the associate director for India, and he had spoken about meeting payment security needs now and for the future. It is there on our YouTube page. Do go there and view this. It is very well done, and Nitin Bhatnagar, very close friend of mine, had spoken exceedingly well, and he's a part of the PCI Council, and he had also spoken on the upcoming standard 4.0. And that's our YouTube channel. You can just search for Vista InfoSec official. It's there. We've got like more than 500 subscribers now. Do subscribe. There's a Facebook page. We keep on posting a lot of articles for free. It is there, posted on our Facebook page, on a LinkedIn page. Do be there and check it out. And that's my coordinates. Do drop in a line, and I'll be more than happy to take up your queries. There are still some queries, that needs to be addressed, and I promise you guys, I will be answering you. Okay, one is okay. Let me take up one quick question. Okay, okay. So the question that is asked is, what if a single primary middleware in a financial data or institute is handling data, card data? Will the whole organization assets come in scope? So my friend, in PCI DSS, you need to have something called as scoping and network segmentation. Now, when I use the word need, it's not a mandate. And if you have not segmented your network, segregating your people, process, and technology who are handling card data in a separate network, separate environment, your whole organization, all the people end to end would be in scope. But if you have segmented and scoped out your processes carefully and put them in a separate zone physically, the people are sitting separate, and even technically those networks are isolated. So in that case, only that particular small network becomes a part of scope. Otherwise, the whole network is in scope. And on, again, my YouTube channel, there is my most viewed video is about scoping and segmentation. Believe it or not, you go to my YouTube channel, there is Vista InfoSec. You can search Vista InfoSec official. It is there. You can subscribe to it. And the #1 watched video of all time is my video on scoping and segmentation in PCI DSS. So do view that. It'll really help you out. So I need to sign off. We are near the end of my talk. Thank you again for being there. And for the rest of the queries, I'll definitely write back to you. Have a wonderful day ahead and be safe. Take care. Bye-bye.